What's up everybody? Paul Keeley from EkoBuilt Passive House. Now recently there's been a video put up on YouTube by the channel Undecided with Matt Ferrell, where he breaks down his journey of building a passive inspired net zero home with the technologies that he has learnt over the years.
I built my forever home with the goal of reaching net zero energy status.
However, with respect to this video, there's a couple points that Matt made that were really frustrating to hear. The main things that were really frustrating were that he insinuates a net zero home is obscenely expensive and ridiculously complicated. The video suggests that a net zero home will cost you 25 to 30% more to build.
Now we need to address the elephant in the room first, which is the cost of the house. We paid roughly 25% to 30% more per square foot than a traditional house that's built to code standard.
Now, as someone who built conventional homes for a dozen years before moving exclusively to certified passive homes, I can tell you there's absolutely no reason for a net zero home or a passive home to be this unaffordable. There's just no logical explanation how a net zero or passive home costs more than 5 to 10% to build.
I think when I first started hearing about passive, I was hearing somewhere in the range of about 10 to 20% more expensive. That's come down. I'm hearing a pretty consistent 6% across the board right now.
The math ain't mathin'. And Matt actually doesn't give us a reason to why his build costs him so much. The incremental costs are actually low because they are isolated to simply the shell of the house. For example, thick ass walls, more insulation, better windows, that's it. About 90% of the house is actually the same as a conventional home, with its load-bearing walls, interior and exterior finishes, mechanicals, land development, services, permits, just like a normal house. Now, I know what you're thinking. It wasn't Matt's intention to build a certified passive house.
This is not a passive house certified home. That was never my goal.
However, the video leaves the impression that a passive inspired net zero home is completely unaffordable for the average person. It also leaves the impression that the house is super complicated. Now, Matt suggests to us that a full basement foundation is recommended instead of a slab because of complicated servicing and limited opportunity for future retrofits. I don't recommend this. There are 4 services that come into any house regardless of foundation. Number 1, electric. 2, water. 3, sewer. And number 4, networking. And if you want, throw in another conduit for future retrofits. So straight up, a basement is a great way to add additional square footage. It's also a great way to add a lot of additional cost. Now, unfortunately, the video suggests the mechanical systems are complicated. Apparently, the ERV fresh air system with the fan set at its normal low level wasn't able to ventilate the house properly. How was that solved? The video suggests that turning the fan to continuous operation solved the problem. It's actually fan law 101. Continuous operation avoids energy spikes with respect to starting motors. All ERV systems would actually not be able to be certified Energy Star without continuous operation. Let's consider Matt was building his forever home. Now, whenever you're building a forever home, you're always going to want to jam as much things into that house that you think you might need or want in the future. And that's always going to cost you a lot more money. But those extra costs have nothing to do with net zero or passive. Now, as we said before, we are big fans of Matt. We enjoy the content that he puts out. We had to straighten some things out. Number 1, a passive inspired net zero home is not excessively expensive, and it is absolutely not overly complicated. See you next time.